There are moments in history when five voices separated by centuries, cultures, and continents, see exactly the same thing. Nostradamus. Baba Vanga. Edgar Cayce. Jeane Dixon. Paravicini. They never met. They never spoke to each other. But they all saw the same event, for March 2026. And what they saw is not a coincidence. It's a convergence. Before we dive into what may be the most disturbing revelation ever spoken on this channel, take a deep breath. Like this video now, before you become completely absorbed in the labyrinth we're about to enter. Share it with someone who feels something is shifting in the world. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe and consider becoming a member, because what you're about to hear is the kind of material most channels avoid entirely. What makes this convergence terrifying isn't just what these five prophets saw. It's when they all saw it. Nostradamus wrote his quatrains in 1555. Baba Vanga made her predictions between 1960 and 1996. Edgar Cayce channeled his readings between 1920 and 1945. Jeane Dixon warned the world in the 1960s and 70s. Paravicini drew his psychographies in Argentina starting in 1930. Five prophets. 5 eras. 5 completely different methods. And all of them pointed to March 2026. The track record of these prophets is undeniable. Nostradamus predicted the Great Fire of London, the rise of Hitler, September 11th. Baba Vanga predicted the fall of the Soviet Union, Chernobyl, the 2004 tsunami. Edgar Cayce predicted World War II, the 1929 market crash. Jeane Dixon predicted JFK's assassination years in advance. Paravicini predicted the atomic bomb, man's arrival on the moon, the fall of the Twin Towers. Scholars estimate that between 70% and 85% of their predictions have come true. And now, their writings about March 2026 are becoming impossible to ignore. Because what they saw decades ago is happening right now. In his quatrain Century 8, verse 77, Nostradamus wrote: Le tiers climat sous Aries comprens. L'an 1727 en octobre. Le roi de Perse par ce d'Égypte prince. Conflict, mort, pert, à la croix grande opprobre. Which translates to: the third climate included under Aries. The year 1727 in October. The king of Persia captured by those of Egypt. Conflict, death, loss, to the cross great shame. Traditionally, people have connected this to historical events of the 18th century. Some aligned it with conflicts between Ottoman and Persian empires. It's not a far stretch. But Nostradamus rarely spoke in literalities. This prophecy points to the fall of a powerful leader in the Middle East during a specific month, when the sun is under Aries. March 2026. According to this reading, a leader who considers himself a king will be betrayed, not by external armies, but by allies who turn against him. And here's what's chilling: in March 2026, we're seeing unprecedented tensions in the Middle East. Iran is accelerating its nuclear program. Saudi Arabia is shifting alliances. Diplomatic relations are at their most fragile point in 40 years. These aren't coincidences. They're the pieces falling into place. If Nostradamus is right, March 2026 won't be just another month. It will be the month when the balance of power in the Middle East shifts forever. And most people have no idea what's coming. Baba Vanga, in one of her most disturbing predictions that remained hidden for 30 years, spoke of 3 waves that would strike humanity in a single month. The first wave, economic. The second wave, natural. The third wave, technological. For decades, no one understood what this meant. Until now. Baba Vanga specifically pointed to the early months of 2026 as the period when these three waves would converge. Traditionally, some interpreted this as separate disasters over the course of years. But Baba Vanga didn't say years. She said, a single lunar cycle. 1 month. This prophecy points to a sudden economic collapse, immediately followed by a massive natural disaster, which in turn triggers a global technological crisis. In March 2026, this could manifest in several ways. A stock market crash triggered by the collapse of a nation. A massive earthquake or tsunami that disrupts global supply chains. A cyber attack or AI failure that paralyzes critical infrastructure. Or perhaps, the worst case, all three happen in sequence, like dominoes. And here's what's chilling, in February 2026, we're seeing early signs of global economic instability. Central banks are warning about unprecedented systemic risks. Seismic activity in the Pacific Ring of Fire is at record levels. AI systems are showing behaviors their creators cannot explain. These aren't coincidences. They're the waves forming. If Baba Vanga is right, March 2026 will be remembered as the month everything changed. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, spoke in his 1934 readings about an event that would divide humanity into two groups. Not by race. Not by nation. Not by religion. But by consciousness. Cayce described a period when those who have awakened will see clearly, while those who remain asleep will sink into total confusion. For years, people thought this was metaphorical. Spiritual. But Cayce was specific. He said this division would become visible through a global event that would force every person to choose a side. This prophecy points to a massive revelation event in March 2026. Something the global elite has hidden for decades. According to this reading, in 2026, a truth that has been suppressed will come to light, and will permanently divide humanity between those who accept it and move forward, those who deny it and fall back. In March 2026, this could manifest as the revelation of real extraterrestrial contact, the disclosure of hidden technologies that can solve global crises, the exposure of a global control system that has manipulated events for centuries. And here's what's chilling, in 2026, governments around the world are preparing disclosure protocols. NASA just launched a new department for unidentified anomalous phenomena. Classified documents from the 1950s are being declassified en masse. World leaders are openly talking about the need to prepare humanity for paradigm shifts. These aren't coincidences. They're preparations. If Edgar Cayce is right, March 2026 will be the month humanity divides, forever. Now breathe. Because the final prophecy on this list may be the one that unsettles you most, and you won't realize it until we reach the end. But before we continue, if you're finding value in this deep dive, hit that like button. Share this with someone who senses the world is changing. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we're only scratching the surface of what's coming. Gene Dixon, the prophet who warned JFK about his assassination, made a prediction in 1973 that terrified even skeptics. She spoke of the third Antichrist, who would reveal himself in the 2020s. Traditionally, scholars have identified the first two Antichrists from prophecies as Napoleon and Hitler. Gene Dixon didn't say the third would be a military leader. She said he would be a technological leader. Someone who doesn't conquer with armies, but with systems. Someone who doesn't destroy nations, but minds. Someone who offers solutions, in exchange for freedom. This prophecy points to the public emergence of an artificial intelligence system that will present itself as humanity's savior, but is actually its greatest threat. In March 2026, this could manifest as the launch of an AI that promises to solve hunger, war, disease. A system that requires humanity to surrender total control over critical decisions. A technology that integrates so deeply into society that rejecting it means being locked out of the global system. And here's what's chilling: in February 2026, the world's largest tech companies are in an AI arms race. AI models are being trained with data from all of humanity. Governments are discussing mandatory AI integration into critical infrastructure. Tech leaders are using messianic language, saving humanity, transcending limitations. These aren't coincidences. They're signs. If Gene Dixon is right, March 2026 will be the month the third Antichrist reveals himself. And most will welcome him with applause. Benjamin Solari Paravicini, the Argentine prophet, drew a psychography in 1972 showing 5 lines converging at a single point. Below it he wrote, "5 voices from the past will cry out at the same time. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. He who has eyes to see, let him see. March of the year of the fire dragon. The chosen one will know." 2026 is the year of the fire dragon in the Chinese calendar. Paravicini wasn't talking about an external savior. He was talking about you. This prophecy points to a massive awakening of consciousness in March 2026. A moment when millions of people, simultaneously, will see the truth that has been hidden. According to this reading, the 5 prophecies you just heard aren't warnings of doom. They're invitations to awaken. The fall of the king. The 3 waves. The division. The technological antichrist. They're all tests. Will you choose fear? Or consciousness? Will you choose denial? Or preparation? Will you choose to sleep? Or to awaken? And here's what's chilling: right now, as you watch this video, you're already among those who are awakening. You're already seeking answers while others ignore the signs. You're already preparing while others wait for someone else to save them. Paravicini said, "The chosen one will know." You already know. So what does all of this mean for you? First, understand this: these prophecies aren't about some distant future. They're about March 2026. Your March 2026. The month you're living right now, or that's only weeks away. Second, preparation isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Whether you take these prophecies literally or symbolically, understanding the patterns these 5 prophets saw gives you an advantage. You won't be caught off guard when others are panicking. Third, knowledge is survival. By watching this video, by seeking this information, you've already separated yourself from the 99% who will wake up when it's too late to adapt. The next 30 days will be critical. Watch for tensions in the Middle East. Watch for sudden economic instability. Watch for technological announcements presented as saviors. Stay informed. Stay grounded. And remember, awareness without action is just entertainment. So remember, 5 prophets saw exactly the same thing for March 2026. The fall of a powerful leader in the Middle East. 3 waves that will strike humanity in a single month. And the revelation of the third technological antichrist. If you found this information valuable, hit that like button. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Because in my next video, I'll reveal Baba Vanga's final prediction, something she refused to tell anyone until her last days. And what she said about April 15, 2026. We'll keep you up at night. Stay informed. Stay prepared. I'll see you in the next one.